If you are planning a trip to Isle Royale National Park in Michigan, yes, it is in Michigan and not Minnesota or Canada, here is your guide on what you need to know for your trip to Isle Royale. My name is Nicole with There She Roams Again, and I am a full-time RVer. It was officially 5 years on the 4th of July, and this was my first ever backpacking trip that I decided to do solo. My trip to get up to Isle Royale was a bit intensive, but that's a story for another day. If you are planning to come, there are 3 different ways you can actually get to Isle Royale, which is going to be coming to Grand Portage, which is in Minnesota, as far north as you can go into Minnesota, and you're going to take the Voyager, which is what I did. There is also a seaplane or a different ferry that you can catch out of Michigan. When you first arrive to the island, the rangers are going to give you a basic talk, and you are going to have to go and show your permit for the park. If you have a national park pass, you can use that. I and many others, of course, forgot that. So you're going to have to first go and get your $7 a day pass. If you're doing overnight trips, you will need to get 2 days. I arrived at Wendigo. Some people continued on the ferry all the way to Rock Harbor, which is about an 8-hour total ferry ride. Mine was only 2 hours on the Voyager with Wendigo as your drop-off point. So the total hike that most people do from Wendigo is going to be the Hugginen Cove Trail and Campground. This is just to give you an overview of the actual trail. So if you're going to stay overnight at the campground, it drops you off right about there. That's going to be where you go. It is a total hike of 9 miles, and that is taking you all the way back to the ferry. So that is including all the way back to the lodge and ferry where you're going to catch your boat. But the trail is absolutely beautiful. The first day I was so lucky and the weather was perfect. It was mid-70s. You can see here, it's just gorgeous, sunshine, overall perfect weather. Some people were struggling a bit with this hike. It does have some hills, and if you're not used to the warmer weather while hiking, it was a little bit difficult for some. This is not a complaint, but some of the trails were a bit unkept, as you can see in some of these videos. So you do really want to make sure you're prepared with your clothes. All right, just a quick explanation why we have long pants and long sleeves. It's because all of that is the path that we just walked through. So if you don't have long pants and long sleeves on, you're getting all kinds of scratched up. Wow, how pretty. And again, these trails are gorgeous, but you definitely want your long sleeves and pants on. Otherwise, you are going to be super scratched up and getting tons of bug bites. For the trail itself, I didn't get a lot of video clips of the way there. It was something I was just taking a lot of pictures of, but didn't get a ton of video footage. When you get to camp, there are only 5 campsites at Hugginen Cove. So I was one of the first ones there. I think there were 2 other people, so that was leaving really 3 campsites left. It took me about 2 hours in total, and that was taking a lot of photos and videos and 2 really short breaks. So I decided to go at campsite number 3. This one is the closest to the water. 1, 2, and 3 are all really close to the water. But 3 was pretty with having some flowers in the way. If 2 was available, I would have taken that, but someone already did have that spot, and it has a fire pit, and you're on a slight little elevation right at the water, and the fire pit is right in your pathway to get down to the water. But all of the campsites were beautiful. It didn't take too long to get camp set up. This again was my first ever backpacking trip, and I haven't been camping in over 10 years, so this was the first time I set up this tent. Yes, I should have practiced beforehand, but it didn't take long at all. It took me maybe 30 minutes in total to get all of my camp stuff laid out and getting comfortable. So that's including laying the clothes out in my bag, getting food out, and ready to make some dinner. After I set up the tent, I actually decided I wanted it facing the water when I opened the tent. So I changed it all around and had the most beautiful view overlooking Lake Superior, and was really happy with my camp setup. This is what it looked like when all said and done. So you can see the water there right ahead, and still had room for my buddies when they arrived 2 hours after me. I thought I heard one of the rangers say that there was potable water at all campsites, which we found was not true. So you do need to make sure you have plenty of water with you to filter or boil the water for at least 2 minutes. Most people were definitely filtering and boiling the water before drinking it right out of the water. But this is how it looked like. It is an absolutely beautiful little park, and they say one of the best campgrounds at the park itself. And again, at this campground, there are only 5 different spots, so there's not a ton of different places to choose from, but everyone is nice, and if there's not enough space for everyone, it is expected that you will share. At this particular campground, there were no cabins, so if you'd like to stay in a cabin, I would say to stay at the Washington Creek Campground, which is much closer to the visitor center and the lodge where they have food and drinks. I will include a video later of what they actually have because it was better than I expected. I was there July 14th and 15th, so maybe not the most popular time to go, and was during the weekdays. I originally was supposed to go over 4th of July weekend, which is probably better that I didn't because I'm sure it was going to be a lot busier. At this campground, they do have a very stinky outhouse, so you do at least have an outhouse here, but at this particular campground, there is no potable water, nor do you have any cabins. So 5 sites, and be prepared to have someone share the site with you. There were some people that kind of following the rules of being in the woods a little bit and just making sure you were 20 steps, I think it was, away from the path. They do recommend you put your food away overnight, so that is something we all did, or to tie it up. We didn't see any wildlife, unfortunately, on this trip. I only met one person on the ferry ride back that did actually see a moose, and they were hiking all the way from Wendigo to the middle of the island and back. So they happened to see the moose when they were more so in the middle of the island. If you want to go from Wendigo to Rock Harbor, the total hike is about 40 miles, I believe. So that would be something you definitely need to be prepared for. It is not something I was willing to do or try on my first attempt at backpacking, but I had a great time. I do at this point wish I had more time, but that just means I have to come back. Now, the morning that we woke up, I had planned to leave at 8 a.m., which is when the rain was really starting. It was drizzling around 6:30 in the morning, but really started some heavy rainfall around 8. I was having a few issues in the morning with the rain, and my propane was not wanting to light. It is a self-light igniter, but it was giving me a lot of hell, and my cabin crew that I was next to were sleeping still, so I was trying not to wake them up and ask them to borrow their lighter, because yes, it was my first time and I didn't bring a lighter with me. Really dumb, I know, but you make friends when you're out camping and people are willing to help one another out. So I did end up using their lighter so that I could have coffee and food in the morning. And when it was time to pack up, I did not get any videos because it was just downpouring at 8 a.m. when it was time for us to get going. Me and a few other people decided to leave at 8 because we thought we needed to be there by 12 in Eastern time, but it turns out we really didn't need to be there till 1 Eastern time. So most of our hike was through torrential rain, even though we didn't need it to be at that time of day. So here's a little overcap of that morning hike. I want to say I regret coming, but this is definitely not what I was anticipating. It is thundering like crazy. Trails are already getting pretty wet. It's going to be a long 4-hour hike. I'm going to get through it, but this is definitely not what I was anticipating for my hiking adventures. I'm not going to be dramatic and say this is the worst idea or worst day ever, but it is certainly not the best. This is what we do it for. Have fun. All right, first half mile down, so still like 4 to go. The rain is fairly steady. My boots are already soaked. My socks are soaked, but I'm doing 24-minute miles on pace right this second, so let's just turn that into 30. So it should take about 2 more hours, and I'll get there. I left at 8:30. It is probably going to be around 10:30, 11 that I get there. All right, first mile down. Rain let off a little bit. My feet are super soaked. We're gonna see if I can get my bag a little bit better because it's bothering the freaking heck out of me. This is a beautiful place. Really cool to see. If you're not an avid hiker, this is a hard place to be, especially if you're trying to go camp and stuff for like first time. It's a lot, but having a good time. It's just if you're not really doing regular hiking, this is quite the experience for your first time. So just be prepared if you're going to try to go for your first time. It's not easy walks in the park. It's not super difficult for me. I'm not having quite as much water as I want either because I thought the campground had more potable water. There's a lot of bugs still, even when it's raining. As soon as you stop, the bugs come out. So it's awesome. It's a cool experience. The rain for sure is making it harder, and I'm just not getting to see quite as much now because I'm trying to get there quick because it's going to continue raining. But again, good time. If you're not hiking regularly, I would just suggest getting a little bit more in shape before you try doing it. If this is like first big hiking, backpacking. Oh my gosh, the bugs. Backpacking experience. Because this is my first backpacking trip. I'm doing okay with the hikes. It's just a lot of the other stuff. The food, the wet shoes. It's going to rain. You're going to get bugs all over your freaking face. So first mile down. I don't think you can hear how wet my shoes are maybe. But first mile down, not too bad. I wish I had more water. I do have water, but I'm trying to conserve it till I get back to Wendigo because they do have water there. So first mile down, rain's letting out. It did take me a little bit that morning to start enjoying the hike, but once the rain let off a little bit, I was able to enjoy it much more and actually get to see everything. I usually wear glasses, so I just couldn't wear my glasses at first, which was a little bit annoying, but I did truly have a wonderful time. I just wasn't quite prepared for the hike of knowing what it was going to look like and want to be able to show you guys what you're going to be going through. It is going to be a lot of high bushes and plants and trees that you have to go around. So you just want to make sure you have the right gear. I was totally fine with what I had. I did not have enough waterproof stuff though. I definitely should have had a bigger waterproof jacket. We are in the wilderness. Oh shit. That part was a little bit slippery. Having more fun though now that the rain isn't as gnarly bad. But my God, I am soaked. All of these plants that get in the way. They get your paint absolutely soaked. Any moose? No. Oh my God. Okay. Timing. Oh, alright. The uphills haven't been as bad. There's only been like little ones so far, so not as bad as if it went the other way. Still hoping for a moose. See moose poop a while back. But rain is pretty much let off till like, I think, 11 or 12. So I should have most of the hike without a ton of rain left. The next will probably take about an hour. It took me 52 minutes to do the 2 miles. This is like stuff though. You're on a wooden bridge and you can't see. And this is the grass we're going through. And little girl, I think that's almost as tall as me. That's me standing up. So this is not, if you don't like getting dirty or messy or wet, don't come because you'll get dirty, messy, and wet and covered in bugs. But there's a little girl here where she was like in my chest, so I know this stuff was way over her head. Lots of these wooden, thankfully they're not too slippery, but there's just a lot of stuff to walk up and around and down. The hills have been really good this way though, so definitely would recommend clockwise on the Higgins Cove loop so far. Some people decided to go counterclockwise on the Huggin Trail. I listened to the rangers and I ended up going clockwise, which worked out great for me. The hills were not bad on this trail. I think they would have been a little bit worse going counterclockwise, but the people that did go counterclockwise didn't think it was all that bad. I wasn't sure how I looked, but 2 hikers that have been here for a little bit just passed me and were like, "Oh no, are you okay? Did you get stuck in the rain?" I guess it's a good bit of rain, but it's beautiful now. And almost time to catch the boat. I got back in plenty of time, so really could have left it 9 and been fine and taken it slow, or 10 and pushing it like I did. And 10 would have probably left me with absolutely no rain, but it could have rained. So either way, time is almost up. Didn't see moose, but it's okay. Time to get hot coffee and snacks. Cute that I got a little flowers thing. That is all my stuff showing off. I'm still completely soaked. Got my stickers, so I was here. My stamps, so I can put it in my book because I forgot my book. So for my recap of Isle Royale National Park, I had a wonderful time. I wish I would have had more time there, but I think it was actually great for my first time backpacking and doing it solo. You'll meet so many wonderful people, from people running the ferry to the other passengers on the boat and people that are camping there. If you are an avid hiker, you will want a few nights here. One night was not quite enough for me, though at the moment I was actually feeling like it was when it was pouring rain in the morning. But I wish I would have had another night or two to explore this area because because it is expensive to come up here. The ferry tickets are around $200 and everything you need for your camping trip adds up pretty quick. You can come for just a day trip, but I truly don't think it's enough to really get to see the island if you're only coming for the day, because the ferry comes around 10 a.m. and you only have a couple hours by the time that you get here. So I would recommend doing an overnight trip. There is one hotel in Rock Harbor, but you will just have to book really far out in advance and be prepared for a long ferry ride or take the seaplane there. There are a heck of a lot of bugs, so make sure you bring your bug spray. And for food, I was impressed with how much they actually had at the lodge for being able to pick up hot coffee in the morning and tons of snacks and food items that you can purchase. If you are planning to come do a backpacking trip and you're not an avid hiker, and by avid I mean hiking very often and probably carrying a bag with you, get prepared by actually starting to backpack, carrying a weighted vest, or just getting used to carrying your backpack with around 25 to 35 pounds in it, because that was probably the most difficult part for me of how annoying it was on the shoulders, just because I'm not used to that. Isle Royale National Park clocked in as my 27th national park in the past few years, and it did prove to be the most difficult one to get to, but one that I think everyone should try to visit if they enjoy hiking or backpacking. If you don't enjoy either of those things, this probably is going to be a very expensive experience for you if you don't truly enjoy being in nature and getting to view all of our national parks. But I hope everyone does get the chance to go that enjoys seeing all of our beautiful national parks. And if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for following along on my first backpacking trip to Isle Royale National Park, and follow along for more journeys.